Alright, I'll admit it, I like Natasha's arc in Black Widow. She has to face the fact that the years that she tried to push away are the same years that the person who looked up to her saw as the most precious years of her life. Yelena teaches her that they weren't a fake family. They were a real family because they really loved each other, and that's all that family really is. The action was cartoonish, the nose thing was stupid, but the movie does Natasha's character justice. Or it would have if it was in phase 3. At this point, it's a bit too late. Alright, I know we've been on a roll of non-roasts here, but the streak ends after Yelena because she's the most interesting out of anybody we've talked about so far. At times, she's cool and menacing, and at others, she's funny and sweet, and she's at her best when she's both at the same time. Her belief that their family was real is the heart of the Black Widow movie.
The best part of my life was fake, and none of you told me.
And I want to zoom in on one of her scenes in Black Widow. The scene where she talks about her vest is so refreshing because it is just a silly MCU conversation, but it's not a conversation about nothing like in so many of the other movies where the banter is just vapid.
I've never had control over my own life before, and now I do. I want to do things.
I like your vest.
God, I knew it. I knew you did. It's so cool, right?
It's good. Yes.
And you can put so much stuff in there. You wouldn't even know.
Yes, Yelena is being funny, but we're also watching her develop a sense of agency for the first time in her life. And we're watching her seek her big sister's approval 2 decades later despite her too cool for school attitude. At this point, there's simply no excuse for Disney not knowing the difference between interesting banter and mindless banter. It's called character development, and it's why she's the standout when it comes to new characters in Phase 4. In Hawkeye, the way that she threatens Kate Bishop while unintentionally betraying that she's totally in need of female companionship after the death of her sister is hilarious and moving. And her fighting Kate with kid gloves because she likes the sport, wants to test how strong Kate is, and would never seriously harm a child is endearing for someone so dangerous and unpredictable, and is exactly why she's a good hero.
Thank you for the girls' night. Truly.
Oh, and Kate Bishop. Do not get in my way again.
I will say, the fact that she was chasing down Clint based on false information is definitely a cop-out. It robs her of agency and conviction. There is only one way that story could have ever ended, with the entire weight of their conflict being resolved once the truth was ironed out. It was a lazy way to introduce Yelena to Kate and Clint, and it would have been much more interesting if they were fighting about something real. And trust me, with Clint, there's a lot to fight about. But we'll get to Clint. When I first saw Black Widow, I was upset at how they never gave Alexei his moment to shine. He gets his ass kicked by Taskmaster, and then he's basically written out of the movie without a chance to become anything more than comic relief. Upon rewatch though, I think it's deeper than that. Alexei might want to be as great as Captain America, but that's not what his arc was actually about, or at least not in the way he thinks. It's about recognizing that he's a self-centered asshole who threw 2 young girls who trusted him into the meat grinder just for a chance at glory. He doesn't deserve to be mentioned in the same sentence as Captain America. The tragedy of Red Guardian is not that he loses, but that they get one chance to let him face a version of his rival in the form of Taskmaster copying Captain America, and they didn't use this to teach him this lesson. He should lose, but instead of having Melina save him unceremoniously, he should have a realization that winning a fight or being stronger than Captain America is less important than saving his daughter, which up until that point seemed to be where they were taking the character.
Not a perfect soldier, but a good man.
And don't say they wanted to keep him as an anti-hero because he does have that realization, he just doesn't quite get enough time to earn it. That said, despite everything, he's still a likable character, mainly because, as Natasha says, he's an idiot. He's complicit in unspeakable acts of torture against Natasha and Yelena, but it's so evident that he's not malicious, just stupid, that you can't help but understand why they forgive him. And while Alexei is an idiot, Melina is a coward. Natasha looking them in the eyes and telling them this is such an important moment for this movie because it's the moment where they're forced to face the truth about themselves. Melina, who's so broken and has been working for Dreykov for so long, is unable to imagine anything else and is uninterested in asking the important questions about her actions. Like Alexei, her change of heart isn't given room to breathe, but it still works. And being such gray characters with dubious pasts makes the family message all the more poignant. This idiot and this coward allowed Dreykov to do horrible things to Natasha and Yelena. But the fact that Natasha and Yelena still accept them and help them to wipe out the red in their ledgers is interesting and complex, and speaks volumes about what their time as family meant to them. And by the way, don't take this as me weighing in on how you should respond to abusers in real life. Some people forgive their abusers and some don't. My point is just that either can be interesting in a movie if the reasons feel truthful to the characters. So let's get back to roasting, shall we? Taskmaster is not really a character, and that's okay, I guess. She gets agency at the end of the movie, so she can be a real character next time we see her. Here, she's just a cool concept brought to life in order to be a scary adversary for the heroes, which means this movie introduces a villain who can beat for beat copy the moves of every other hero we've seen so far in the MCU, and she gets 1.5 action sequences. I know that Natasha chooses not to fight her, and I like that choice from Natasha in that moment, but from a filmmaking perspective, you can't just introduce the coolest concept ever and then not deliver. Like with Bucky, we're in the worst of both worlds here. No character and no coolness. And speaking of Natasha's decision, I think it does make Taskmaster less interesting when she's immediately embracing Natasha upon being freed. I know it services the themes of the movie, but with a character like this that they have no plan on exploring in the film, there's an element of mystery and danger about her outlook and intentions that might have been better if it were preserved going into the next project.